Use code SPIKEFEEDERS for 5% off at face-to-facegames.com. You can shop face-to-face games in US dollars, Canadian dollars, or even euros, and they'll ship just about everywhere. That's code SPIKEFEEDERS at checkout at face-to-facegames.com to help support the show. What's up, Spikes? It's Alex, Elliot, and Jan coming at you with another set review. This one for Dominaria United, and today we're hoping to get through all the legendaries. Elliot, how you doing today?
I'm great, Alex, and I'm hoping to continue to be great through this process where we were going to talk about the 85 mother-flippin' legendaries that are in Dominaria United.
How you doing, Jan?
My allergies are acting up, so that's why I sound a little weird. But other than that, I'm excited. This is my first time looking at a Magic card. I've not looked at a single Magic the Gathering card at any point prior to this.
Niche content, folks. Yeah. Anyway, we're going to jump right into it with a couple of Planeswalkers off the hop. The first one being Dihada, Binder of Wills. 1 red, white, black for legendary Planeswalker Dihada with a bunch of abilities for 5 loyalty on entry, and this is one of the ones that can be your commander. Elliot, how do you feel about this Mardu nonsense?
Well, I think it's interesting because Dihada appeared previously in Modern Horizons 2, I believe, as a Grixis Planeswalker. Now here she is, Mardu. I think this one's obviously legendary, tribal themed going on. I love that the ultimate ability is Insurrection for all non-land permanents.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, right?
I would like to do that.
Yeah. What are you feeling about it, Jan?
I think it's dope. I think it's more Mardu options, and I love the legendary sub-theme.
Yeah.
I just think it's really sweet.
Personally, I'm not a huge fan of the +2 giving all that stuff to a single legendary creature. But, on the other hand, if you're playing some sort of like Mardu Voltron build, maybe this is in the 99 or maybe it leads it up. Who knows?
Yeah. Fair.
It's also got weird political aspects because it's target legendary creature, not one you control.
Yeah, it's true. And it is until your next turn, not just right away.
So,
any case, speaking of another Planeswalker that can be your commander, let's talk about Jared Carthalion. That's Wooburg. That's all colors for a legendary Planeswalker Jared. For +1, create a Kavu, -3, choose up to 2 target creatures. For each of them, put a number 1/1 counters on it equal to the number of colors it is. And -6, return target multicolored card from your graveyard to your hand. If that card was all colors, draw a card and create 2 treasure tokens because we need more treasure tokens.
Of course.
Right? Yeah. So 5 CMC for 5 loyalty. What do you think here, Jan?
I think it's great that we're getting more diverse 5-color options for commanders because people always want to play 5-color and you kind of get locked into the same like handful. And I think having a Planeswalker is super sweet. Making Kavu creature tokens is crazy because we haven't seen Kavu in forever. And it's like his -6 is like pretty modest actually.
Yeah.
Especially to ultimates. Yeah, he starts at 5.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
I really do like that the Kavus are all colors and that synergizes with the put 1/1 counters on. I think that's got a little bit of play to it. What do you think, Elliot? Is this really grabbing you in any way?
Not really. Not my type of Magic card, I would say. I mean, making 8/8 rainbow Kavus is kind of kooky, but that's, again, not really my thing, I don't think.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Next up, let's talk about Jensen Carthalion, Druid Exile, white and a green. For a human druid, whenever you cast a multicolored spell, scry 1. If that spell was all colors, create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying and vigilance. And then it also has pay 5, tap him, add specifically spelled out Wooburg, so this has Wooburg color identity on a 2/2 body. I don't know how I feel about this one. This is multicolored tribal payoff, I guess?
Yeah, and it's specifically the 4/4 angel part being tied to something having to be all colors is like pretty weak, if I'm being honest, I think.
Yeah, there's like way easier ways to get 4/4 angels.
Right.
I will say, I do think the art is fantastic.
Oh, for sure.
The art is gorgeous on this
bomb.
Livia really cracked that one open. Jim, you want to blow that one up for us big with that big dope sword? Yeah. Like, I think this is like top 10 anime moments in my opinion.
Oh, hell yeah.
I would get this on a playmat.
Ooh, playmat, yeah. Ultra Pro, hit us up. Anyway, next up, another Mardu legendary. It's Shanid, Sleeper's Scourge for 1 red, white, black, human knight legendary with menace. Other legendary creatures you control have menace, and whenever you play a legendary land or cast a legendary spell, you draw a card and you lose a life on a 2/4 body. Lots of support for legendaries in this set. With 85 of them, it makes sense.
Yeah, and this card is nutso butso, right? Like, you just pack a deck full of maybe not literally all legendaries, but like mostly
Pretty
legendaries,
close.
and you're like probably churning through a good chunk of your deck with them in play.
Yeah, I think my
This knight on a horse in play.
I think my favorite part about it is all the legendary creatures have menace. I think menace gets underlooked at, especially when you're going to be spreading it out across your board. Because now instead of having to overwhelm someone with numbers, which is always the problem with a legendary matters set, you don't have to have specifically a whole bunch of creatures to get through. You can rely on the fact that it's awkward to block.
Yeah.
Next up, let's talk about Zirium, not the Golden Wind, just Golden Wind. 3 and a white for a legendary creature, Griffin, with flying, and whenever a Griffin you control deals combat damage to a player, create a 2/2 white Griffin creature token with flying on a 3/4 body. Jan?
That's sweet. I love this for like tokens.
Yeah.
It's got flying. It counts itself. I don't know if there's a ton of fantastic griffins out there already.
I guess
but
I'm gonna spoil it. I looked into this because I was like, oh, this is gonna be my mono white deck. This is so cute.
yeah, it's kind of one of those.
Griffins are too cute.
Well, I'm just going to throw this at you real quick. It's in white. You know what else is in white? Maskwood Nexus.
Sure.
And ways to
but
tutor Maxwood Nexus. You know, come on.
Technically.
boring.
That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
Boring.
Yeah.
I hear you. On the other hand, let's talk about Moira, Urborg Haunt, 2 and a black for a Spirit Wizard Menace. Whenever Moira deals combat damage to a player, return to the battlefield target creature card in your graveyard that was put there from the battlefield this turn. So, this is maybe a little awkward for people who aren't as familiar with the combat step and how things happen. This trigger won't be put on until all damage is marked and all creatures with lethal damage have entered the graveyard. So this trigger can hit things that are blocked in combat and do just fine getting them back, so long as they weren't killed in the first strike damage step. That being said, either you looking to build this.
I don't think so. It's cool.
Yeah.
Again, this kind of effect though is ultimately pretty underwhelming. I like actually that it is on, in this case, a 3-mana 3/2 with the Menace, the Evasion, as opposed to where we've kind of seen this kind of thing previously, where it's like Ink Eyes, Servant of Oni is like a 6-drop or whatever, no evasion, and they're getting closer, but this still doesn't really tickle my fancy.
Yeah.
Personally.
I'm lukewarm on this one too.
Okay,
I think
fair
it's
enough.
cool, but
Hi, lukewarm. I'm Elliot.
hi Elliot, I'm Dad.
Stop. Anyway, my next card up is the Reaver Cleaver. It's 2 and a red for a legendary artifact equipment that says equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has trample, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, create that many treasure tokens for equip 3. I think this is pretty dope.
Yeah, 3 to play, 3 to equip is kind of not steep necessarily, but I think it is reasonably costed. It's not Dockside Extortionist.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, I think this card is sick.
I do. I think it's also templated well because there's a lot of effects. It's like when you hit a player, and with planeswalkers, it's like, well, do I take out this planeswalker that's being a pain? I won't get my on hits, like the swords, Sword Fire and Ice, sort of Feast and Famine and stuff. So counting both, I think, is super cool, and making treasures is always fun.
Yeah, I agree. Sort of in that same vein, our next card, Blade Wing Deathless Tyrant, 5 black red, is a dragon skeleton. Oh my gosh, with flying and haste for 6/6 out of the command zone. That reads, whenever Blade Wing deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, like we were just talking about, for each creature card in your graveyard, create a 2/2 black zombie knight creature token with menace. So this is kind of army in a can. You get board wiped, you pull them out on turn 7, you say, oops, good thing you didn't bajuka bog me.
I'm thinking this kind of thing with like Relentless Assault or Aggravated Assault, like extra combats, extra whatever's in Rakdos here.
Sure.
Just like smack for 6 the one time, make a bunch of, I guess you have to give them haste, but
We'll figure that out.
yeah, we'll figure that out along the way.
That's a tomorrow problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I don't know if y'all can see the art here, but if you zoom in on the art of the chest, there's actually just a bunch of zombies hanging out.
I did see
Yes.
the zoom in on Twitter. Maybe we'll make Jim pull that one
Yeah,
up
I'll
too.
say-
Jim's working overtime today.
Yeah, shout out to Antonio, doing a great job on that art, buddy. Next up is Kadric, Soul Kindler, 2 red, white for a dwarf wizard. The legend rule doesn't apply to tokens you control. Whenever another non-token legendary permanent enters the battlefield under you control, you may pay 1. If you do create a token that's a copy of it, that token gains haste, sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step on a 4/3 body. I kind of like this with all the other stuff in Mardu that we're seeing with Legendaries Matter. On the other hand, I feel like this is just, what is it called? Twin Flame or
It's
one of
like
those?
it's a Nala, but
Yeah.
for legendaries.
There we go. Yeah. Yeah.
And doesn't function in the command zone.
Yeah. I think this is fine. I like the fact that the legend rule doesn't apply to tokens you control, but on the other hand, it's not in colors that you can really take advantage of that. So unless you're playing it as part of the 99 in some other weird 5-color build, I'm not sure that this has got huge legs.
Yeah, like I think that line of text is mostly just so that its own ability doesn't do 0.
Yeah, it takes a lot to get anything else out of this card.
Right.
Yeah. Let's talk about Verak, Warped Sengir. 1 white-black for a vampire with flying and death touch and lifelink and 2/2. That says whenever you activate an ability that isn't a mana ability, if life was paid to activate it, you may pay that much life again. If you do, copy that ability. You may choose new targets for the copy.
I like this card a lot. I've not really found anything that's jumping out to me in terms of, well, this is busted in X CDH deck or whatever necessarily, but I know there were some people kind of muddling around with this doubles fetch lands.
Right.
This doubles birthing pod.
Yeah.
So maybe in the 99 of some kind of Abzan creature value type deck, I could see this doing some things. And even just flying death touch lifelink. You know who likes flying and death touch? Timna the Weaver.
Even in like Vampire Tribal, if you're playing Edgar Markov, just
Yeah,
like
true.
a 3-mana 2/2 vampire that has flying, death touch, and lifelink, and an ability that maybe sometimes works depending on what card you're playing, is like better than most includes in the deck. So I think it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I think it's got legs. Next up is just a nifty piece of tech. It's Gerard's Hourglass Pendant for 1 mana for a legendary artifact with flash. And my favorite line of text in the whole thing, if a player would begin an extra turn, that player skips that turn instead.
Alex doesn't like me very much because I like taking extra turns, and Alex does not like when I take extra turns.
You're taking my turns. Stop that. Those are my turns.
They're my turns. Explicitly, they are mine.
They're extra
I'm not
turns.
Emrakulling you
They're
or
extra
mind
turns.
flavoring you.
They're extra turns.
Let's move on.
And that's copyright infringement. They also have 4 and tap to exile Gerard's Hourglass Pendant to return to the battlefield all tapped, I should add, all artifact, creature, enchantment, and land cards in your graveyard that were put there from the battlefield this turn. So you can flash into them for 1, pay 4, and do a full recovery after board wipes. That seems pretty good to me. Lots of utility. Other than that, that's about all that's going on there.
It's like reminiscent of Red White Gerard from a couple years ago, his ability.
Yeah, it is actually. That's a good point.
So-
Hadn't thought about that. Next up, the Peregrine Dynamo. 3 for a legendary artifact creature construct. It has haste, 1 and tap to copy target activated or triggered ability you control from another legendary source that's not a commander. You may choose new targets for the copy on a 1/5 body. I kind of like this, not as a commander, obviously, because the colorless color identity is kind of a killer. But as an extra piece in some of these legendaries matters decks, this could be really great.
Yeah, right. It's just another. Oh no.
Activation.
Yeah. Well, what's the thing? The thing that already does this.
Oh, Illusionist Bracers.
Yeah. Or the other one.
Rings of Brighthearth.
That's the one.
Yeah.
There's a couple, right?
Yeah.
It's just another one of those. Strionic Resonator.
Yeah, sure.
There we go.
It's also something that requires a tap and all that, so it's
But it
not
has
going to be
haste.
busted. It's also got haste, exactly. So I feel like this is one of those that you're okay to play in something that has a lot of these sorts of effects, and it's going to be really good for those types of builds. But I don't see it having much utility past that. Next up, let's talk about Emperor Mihail II. 1 blue from Merfolk Noble 3/3. It says you may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast Merfolk cards from the top of your library. Whenever you cast a Merfolk spell, you may pay 1 if you do create a 1/1 blue Merfolk creature token. I think this would be great in Elves, guys.
It does so many things.
I was actually going to say, like, those first 2 lines are lines of text that I'm always looking for in tribal decks in
Yeah.
Commander, right? Like, this card's insane.
Yeah, it's really good.
For Merfolk, obviously.
I don't know if it necessarily makes it into, like, say, a modern deck. That's really not my specialty.
Right.
But I do like the fact that they're starting to play around with quote-unquote lords that aren't lords a little bit more than we have seen recently.
I don't know if it can be played in Modern.
I think this is
it's
from
from
the
the
Commander
Commander
set.
decks. It's not,
Oh, okay.
not from the
You can
core
tell that
set.
I've definitely studied up on the sets.
We know
well, I mean,
what
yeah,
we're doing.
We know what we're doing.
So yeah, what's your opinion on this one, Jen?
Maskwood Nexus is a. No, I think it's really cool.
Hi, welcome to We Review for Cards for Maxwood Nexus.
Cards that are good with Maskwood Nexus.
All of them.
next week.
Next up, though, we've got Roshnacht, sure, Heir of Ragach, red for a Kobold Warrior 0/1 with Battle Cry. And my favorite sub ability of all time, Heroic. Whenever you cast a spell that targets create a 0/1 red kobold creature token named Kobolds of Carekeep. So
I love that.
They're back.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a huge fan of all of this. Battle Cry, especially on a body like this, just makes sense. I do think it would be very interesting to do mono red pump spells with such a cheap general in the command zone, because you get stuff like impetus and fiery punch stuff and like lightning stab or whatever, and you just kind of go to town.
I was about to say they make a pill for that, Alex.
Oh, wow, thanks.
Well, you can also play Rogue Rack.
Oh yeah.
And some of the other sweet mono red commanders, or mono red, I guess, filler at that point. But yeah, no, it's sweet. Kobolds are good.
Got good stuff going on.
Kobolds.
Let's go with Baru Worm Speaker, 2 green for a human druid, 3/3 that says worms you control get +2/+2 and have trample, and 7 and a green, tap him for create a 4/4 green worm creature token. This ability costs X less to activate, where X is the greatest power among worms you control.
That's sweet.
That's pretty
Worms,
good.
baby.
Worm
baby.
tribal.
I think my favorite thing about this is it goes from costing 8 to costing 2
Immediately.
immediately.
You activate it once.
Yeah.
And they cost 2 for the rest of time.
I do think big mana Baru is not going to be really crashing any parties anytime soon.
No, but it's very cool.
I think this is very cool, though. It lets an underrepresented tribe actually have what I would consider a very, very good build around. I don't know of too many off-color worms.
I think they are mostly green. Ever since Crawworm, the very famous one from way back, I think most worms, if I had to venture a guess, I think they're either green or
Green-white.
artifacts.
I think there's like there's a couple of
impervious
Ravnica,
ones?
are green.
There might be a
whites.
couple of black ones, too. But regardless, I do like the fact that they're, especially in this set, branching out into some less-known tribes. Next up, speaking of less known, let's talk about Greensleeves, Morrow Sorcerer, 3 green, that happens to have protection from Planeswalkers and from Wizards. Greensleeves, Morrow Sorcerer's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control, and whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a 3/3 green Badger creature token.
Badgers.
And mushrooms.
Snakes.
That was the last card.
Everything I look at this, I just go, who designed this and what's going on?
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't WotC.
Yeah, it has protection
from Wizards.
Yeah, they just Greensleeves just slid themselves into the design document. Yeah. That's how that worked. Oh gosh, I think this is interesting. I don't know that I'm super keen on gets bigger when lands and also grows your army when lands. I feel like we've had enough commanders with landfall type abilities, like Tachiova.
Yeah. I think this one is a big hit for like the lore heads. Greensleeves has apparently been a planeswalker or whoever, or not a planeswalker, I guess, but like a figure in the Magic story or whatever for a really long time.
Okay.
In the original card, you have to pull this up now too, Jim. Giant Badger. The flavor text is Greensleeves summoned a giant badger to fight for her in the battle or whatever, and she's like summoning it in the art. So
interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
And that's from like, I don't know, Alpha or something.
Yeah, sounds
Could be
accurate. Don't fact check any of that.
Let us know in the
Orthos.
comments.
Next up is the Mana Rig for 3 legendary artifact, also piece of the lore, that says whenever you cast a multicolored spell, create a tapped Power Stone token. Those are artifacts that say tap it to add colorless. This mana can't be spent to cast a non-artifact spell. And it also has XXX, tap it to look at the top X cards of your library, put up to 2 of them into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Whew. 6 mana to get full value seems like a lot.
Yeah. It's...
I mean,
say your piece.
I don't have a piece. I think it's interesting.
Yeah. I think the fact that it kind of makes, like, in theory, you're building this in a multicolored deck.
Yes.
So you are facilitating adding cards back to your hand by casting your multicolored cards, therefore making Power Stones that can
Cast more,
pay
yeah.
into the cost, right?
Yeah, because
So-
the Power Stones aren't restricted from activated abilities, just from spells.
Right. The way they worded it is, it can't be spent to cast non-artifact spells, not can only be used for
Artifact spells. Right.
So
Right, that makes sense. So activated abilities, additional costs like Rhystic Study, all those can be paid. Okay, cool. I'm not sure where I'm going to put that, but I'm sure it'll be on somebody's deck sometime and it'll impress me.
yeah, I'd rate it a 7.
Everything's a 7. Next up is Aisha Tanaka Armorer. 3 white-blue for a legendary creature human artificer at 2/4. Whenever she attacks, look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may put any number of artifact cards with mana value less than or equal to their power from among them onto the battlefield tapped. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Cannot be blocked as long as defending player controls 3 or more artifacts.
It's
pretty cool.
metal craft hexproof. Protection from metal craft.
Protection from blocking as long as other opponent.
It's not hexproof.
Yeah, it's not hexproof at
Can't be
all.
blocked. Or
Fine.
Yeah. I do like the ability to just kind of slam artifacts.
Yeah, I mean, this, in my mind, this is doing, I mean, it's obviously a Voltron commander. You're in white, so you're playing all the things that make the equip costs cheaper or let you equip at instant speed, and then you're
just kind of relying on your opponents to have 3 or more artifacts, which isn't that hard these days.
Yeah, in Commander, I think it's like almost guaranteed.
Yeah, not quite, but it's real not a problem.
treasure tokens or artifacts.
Exactly. Next up is the Ever-Changing Dane. 3 blue-black for a shapeshifter, 3/3. 1, sacrifice another creature. The Ever-Changing Dane becomes a copy of the sacrificed creature, except it has this ability. It's a nifty little clone guy.
Yeah.
I think where this shines is legitimately only in the lore, because it is based on the card Half Dane. So if you look at the flavor text on this card, it says he could be anyone, anywhere, but he'll never again be half of anything. And the flavor text on Half Dane, which we'll get Jim to pull up, references the Ever-Changing Dane. So I think as a callback card, this is actually pretty sweet. As an actually useful playable card, it's very so-so. I give it a 6.
Yeah, that ability is neat, right? But what are you sacrificing, or how are you getting value from the thing that you're sacrificing that is benefited by him then becoming that thing?
Yeah, I could understand if
like-
you're giving him a gigantic body or a bunch of combat abilities, but most commander decks aren't built around stuff like that these days. They're built around ETBs.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
Anyway, maybe it's a
weird little dude.
Maybe it's something, but I just find it odd. Next up is General Marhalt Elsdragon, 2 red-green for an elf warrior, 4/4. That says whenever a creature you control becomes blocked, it gets +3/+3 until end of turn for each creature blocking it. Pop quiz, name that mechanic.
Rampage?
Yeah. Rampage.
Yeah.
Rampage for everybody isn't so bad. Rampage 3 specifically.
I'm sad that it doesn't give them trample
Yeah.
or something. This is pretty underwhelming.
I think if you didn't also pump the toughness, you could almost make an argument for giving it trample too.
yeah.
But that would
Yeah,
be-
maybe it's too strong, but I don't know. 4 mana?
Any case, I do like the direction they've gone with a lot of these uncommon legendaries recently, and that's a lot of fun. Next up, fan favorite, everybody's excited for it, Hazazon, Shaper of Sand. Red, green, white for a human warrior with Desert Walk, 3/3, and you may play desert cards from your graveyard. Whenever a desert enters the battlefield under your control, create 2 1/1 red, green, and white Sand Warrior creature tokens.
So I know we just said with green sleeves, we're bored of landfall.
Yeah.
Stop printing landfall. Nah, this guy's sweet.
This is so,
But because this
So
isn't
cool.
landfall.
Right, it's
Desert Fall, right? And that's the part that I'm really interested in. I also would have really enjoyed seeing something similar to Quicksilver Fountain that makes islands.
Makes things deserts.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Having Desert Walk is kind of a fun, cheeky ability, but
Or we've been saying, it's like a lore ability.
Yeah, there's-
Hazazon would have that. But I don't, what are deserts? Scavenger grounds is a desert?
There's only ones from Amonkhet. They've
Yeah.
been propping up much more frequently, but there's not a ton of them.
You might get in there.
Yeah.
Might get in.
Especially if they actually have more deserts as we move forward and other lands that operate that way. I think that's honestly just a lot of fun.
I do think the Sand Warriors should have also been 1/1s with Desert Walk, but
He does make 2 of them though.
sure. I would take one that
With
had
Desert
Walk.
Then why? Okay. I could see that. I'll buy that for a nickel. Speaking of buying things for a nickel, is Jasmine, Boreal of the Seven. I guess it's a couple things more than a nickel. 1 green white for a human druid. 2/4 with tap to add green white. Spend this mana only to cast creature spells with no abilities. Creatures you control with no abilities can't be blocked by creatures with abilities.
Miragandra petroglyphs.
Yeah.
Here
Yeah.
we go.
This one's really cool. It is, I mean, as most things in this set are, a shout out or a reference or whatever to the original legend, the original Jasmine Boreal, which was, I believe, just like a 7 mana 4/4 with no abilities or something. Yeah. So this one, obviously, way cooler than that. I like that it does both of those things, you know? Like, if it
Was one or the other?
it would be really underwhelming, but like, this could be a real deck. I don't know.
I would probably slap this together as like a pseudo budget deck to just sit down and like randomly jam games, because you can sit down and when they're like, how strong is your deck? You'd be like, I have a single creature that has abilities.
Yeah.
What? And you're like, man,
Deck's fine. It's 7.
I'm playing bears, 2 mana 2/2s.
There you go. Next one up is one that we were really excited to see Shivam on Twitter spoil for us, because it's Jedit Ojanen, Mercenary. 1 white blue cat mercenary of 3/3. What says, whenever Jedit Ojanen, Mercenary, or another legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay green. If you do, create a 2/2 cat warrior creature token with Forest Walk.
Green cat.
Yes.
See, this guy's cat's got Forest Walk, but my guy's Sand Warriors can't have Desert Walk.
Listen, do you have 20 years of tradition in Desert Walk?
No.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Hazazon does.
Does he? Did he have Desert Walk back in the day?
I don't know.
I
Oh,
doubt
I
it.
didn't think he did. I didn't think it existed.
Yeah, I don't, well.
Anyway, I really like this one because it's really great, because it ties together this whole cycle of people, the Ojanans, the color identities together under a single commander. So that's really exciting for the folks that are super into that. But past that, I just think it's an okay Legendary Matters card.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Legendary cat dude.
Yeah, shows up. Next up, we've got the dwarf with the good hair. It's the Lady of Artaria.
It's an
3
avatar.
red, green. You may tap 3 untapped dwarves you control rather than pay this spell's mana cost. At the beginning of each end step, if a land you controlled was put into a graveyard from the battlefield this turn, reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You may put any number of dwarf cards from among them onto your hand. Put the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order on a 5/5 body.
This one's weird.
Yeah.
Because it's trying to do dwarf synergies in red-green.
And I thought they were mostly red-white.
Yeah, typically they, like the pilots and all of that from Kaladesh are all, like red or white or red-white.
Yeah.
So I guess we need a Naya dwarf now to unite the clans.
Yeah.
Well, even then, technically speaking, she is an avatar, not a dwarf.
Yeah, but the
also-
text box says dwarves a bunch.
But also, there are 7 dwarves you can include in your deck.
It's insane.
Next up, we got Ohabi Caleria. 1 green white for an elf archer, 1/3. Reach, untap all archers you control during each player's untap step. Each other player's untap step, excuse me. Whenever an archer you control deals damage to a creature, you may pay 2. If you do, draw a card.
Seems cool.
How many archers are there?
Lots more than you'd think. They got updated in the big class update.
Oh, yeah.
So
They
there's,
slapped Archer on a bunch of
there's,
things.
there's Archer
Okay.
on a bunch of things. So
I
also,
assume a bunch of them tap to probably deal damage, probably to like flying creatures,
Yeah, stuff
that kind of thing, which is where this like untap all archers you control during each other player's untap step comes in.
yeah.
And then they're, in theory, shooting down creatures and you're paying 2 and drawing cards.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Cool.
I can dig it.
Next up, we've got Orca, Siege Demon, 5 black, red for a demon, 5/5 with trample that says whenever another creature dies, any other creature dies, put a 1/1 counter on Orca Siege Demon. When Orca dies, it deals damage equal to its power divided as you choose among any number of targets.
First of all, Siege Demon is the name of my prog rock band. Secondly, this kills somebody if you have like some kind of infinite loop with a sack outlet, right? You make Orca infinitely large, and then sack Orca, deal 9 trillion damage to each of your opponents.
Win the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know
That
what
better know.
combo exactly
Yeah.
in black-red you're doing with it. I haven't looked that far because I have too many black-red decks, so I'm personally not doing that. But somebody could.
No. Next up, we got Ramirez Di Pietro Pillager, so he's back from the dead as a ghost. 2 blue, black, human pirate, 4/3. That says, whenever Ramirez enters the battlefield, you lose 2 life and create 2 treasure tokens. Whenever one or more pirates you control deal combat damage to a player, exile the top card of that player's library. You may cast that card for as long as it remains exiled. How you feeling about that
That's
one,
sweet.
Jen?
I like that. That's it's a shame you can't put it in the like Breaches Malcolm, but I guess you would have to play it under like Beckett Brass.
Yeah. You'd have to have like a top level Grixis
Yeah.
pirate. Yeah. I like this a little bit better than I like the mono blue version, which was
Yeah,
just
the mono blue one was underwhelming.
Yeah.
This one, much cooler. Treasures are overused. I hate that aspect of it, but the pirate thing, love it.
Here's the
love
thing.
the pirate.
If there's one place I want treasures to be,
Sure, it's
the
pirate.
pirate
it's
deck.
with pirates.
You know, fair enough.
And it's, also, it's in blue black, which is
Yeah.
where I wanted treasures to be anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of okay with it. Ultimately, I think this is just a really cool card that goes in pirates, or it helms up a more budget steal things focused pirate deck.
Yeah, I can see that.
Next up is a super cool Demir card. You might have heard of it, maybe.
Best card in the set.
hopefully. It's Ramses, Assassin Lord, 2 blue, black, for a human assassin, 4/4 with Death Touch. And other assassins you control get +1/+1. And maybe the most controversial line of rules text that we've seen in a long time, according to Reddit, is whenever a player loses the game, if they were attacked this turn by an assassin you controlled, you win the game.
I saw some guys on the internet spoil this one. They're pretty cool guys. You should check them out. They're called the Spike Feeders.
We're allowed to do self-promo here. This is our
Yeah.
first Magic spoiler card. We're very
Yes.
excited to have gotten it. We think it's awesome.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I think it's super cool.
I think it kind of goes without saying that last ability is unique.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the build around part in theory,
yeah.
right? You're definitely not getting too far. Assassins, much like Griffins,
Yeah,
a
spoiler
pretty
alert.
pretty underrepresented tribe in the power level department. You're not doing a whole lot by buffing them with +1/+1, but you know, maybe somebody loses the game and then you win.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
I also think it's maybe the most Boros win condition of all time on the
On a Demir card.
on a Demir
Yeah.
card. Yeah, I really like it. I really do think it's got legs, especially in a Voltron shell. I actually do think that if you really
Oh.
took a look at it and like packed it full of interaction and stuff like that, this actually might have legs as a combat focused anti-Adnaz deck. In CEDH, you just focus down the Adnaz player at the table and just keep beating face while countering spells and removing other threats.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, if you attack someone and then they end of your turn greedy Adnaz and you can just like pop them
Yeah,
for
and they
enough,
die somehow.
they just
Or, okay, stay with me here.
stay-
You attack someone with an assassin,
Yeah.
and then you get them to concede.
Yeah, that's super likely. Okay,
just
anyway.
pay them amount of money.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Collusion aside, it seems like a decent card. Next up, it's Rasputin the Oniromancer. I hope I said that right, and if I didn't, don't at me. 1 white, blue for a human wizard. When Rasputin the Oniromancer enters the battlefield, put a dream counter on it for each opponent you have. Each opponent creates a 1/1 red goblin creature token. Remove 1 or more dream counters from Rasputin, add that much colorless mana. Remove a dream counter from Rasputin, create a 2/2 white knight creature token with protection from red on a 4/1 body. How are we feeling about Rasputin the dream counter?
I'm trying to remember what the original Rasputin did.
It also did
had
dream
dream
counter
counters,
things,
yeah.
and it also removed them to add mana. I don't remember exactly how you got them.
I think it refreshed them at the end of your turn.
Something like
like
that.
that. But
This one, weaker.
4/1
I think.
is a weird stat block.
Especially when you're giving your opponent 1/1s.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, he himself does not have protection from red
Nope.
or protection from goblins.
And he taps to add mana, so he can't
Yeah.
even do it the turn he comes out.
Yeah, I kind of look at this as being much more of a proliferate payoff than anything else. And I don't know about you, but I'm guessing we're probably going to see more proliferate in the next year.
Why, Alex? So next up,
Next up, we've got Raga, Carekeep Overlord, 3 black red.
he's those kobolds' dad.
Yeah, exactly. And this one says, other kobolds you control get +2/+2. That's big. Whenever you cast a kobold spell, you may pay 2. If you do, create a 4/4 red dragon creature token with flying. Whenever you cast a dragon spell, create a 1/0 red kobold creature token named Kobolds of Carekeep. And he's a 4/4 himself. It's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Kobolds.
Dragons and kobolds.
Dragons and
Can't
kobolds.
go wrong. I mean, I don't know how right you can go either, but you can't go wrong. Next up, really cool one. Stang, Echo Warrior, 2 red green for a human warrior 3/4 that reads, whenever he attacks, create Stang Twin, a legendary 3/4 red and green human warrior creature token. It enters the battlefield tapped and attacking. For each aura and equipment attached to Stang, create a token that's a copy of that attached to Stang Twin. Sacrifice all tokens created this way at the beginning of the next end step.
Much more powerful than the original Stang that
Yes.
was a 3/4 that made another 3/4.
Yeah.
Well, this one makes a 3/4. That's another one.
With copies of all of your auras and equipment.
Right? I actually think
it's-
this is sick.
Yeah, I think
This
it's
guy's really
insane.
cool.
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly what I want to do with him, but I know it involves Voltron, and I'm looking forward to seeing what someone else does with him who's smarter than me. Next up, let's go with Savitri, Dragon Master, 2 blue, black for a legendary Planeswalker Savitri. 4 loyalty to enter and can be your commander. +1 says, until your next turn, creatures can attack you or Planeswalkers you control unless their controller pays 2 life for each of those creatures. Not so bad. Get a
Propaganda.
sort of Norn's Annex type effect. -3, search your library for a dragon card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle. And -7, destroy all non-dragon creatures.
This is a bit of a... Sorry.
I was gonna say, yeah, I'm in on. I was in on this when I read the first ability, and then it turned into Dimir dragons, and I'm less into it.
She's the Dragon Master.
I get it.
Is somebody gonna hopefully gatekeep this? Because I don't know that many green or good blue black dragons.
That's what I was going to say.
Kokosho?
This one having the can be your commander line is strange to me because,
Yes.
yeah, like I don't know how many Dimir dragon... Like I guess there are more with the Dungeons and Dragons sets that
Yes.
came out because
Yes.
there's like the...
Copper-
the like metal dragons and the Imarith or whatever their name
There's
is.
definitely a few.
Yeah,
When I think of dragons, though, I'm thinking of like a Tarka.
Yeah,
Right, exactly.
So I guess you could play Silumgar, but even then, like both the Silumgars are kind of underwhelming.
Especially in Commander. But anyway, interesting Commander. Take a look at it, especially if you're looking for blue-black dragons. Next up, Tetsuo, Imperial Champion. Blue, black, red for a human samurai 3/3. Whenever he attacks, if it's equipped, choose 1. Deals damage equal to the highest mana value among equipment attached to it to any target. Or you may cast an instant or sorcery spell from your hand with mana value less than or equal to the highest mana value among equipment attached to Tetsuo without paying its mana cost. Whew.
He lost his last name here, but this is
Yeah,
Tetsuo Umezawa. And so the him
got a-
being equipped thing, doing things is obviously a reference to his Jite. And that's cool. I want to do that. I want to like play him and equip him with Jeet. And then
Do 2 mana stuff?
I guess.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I think it's super cool.
Shock
I
things.
love me Grixis commanders, but also those are like 2 drastically different abilities.
Yeah.
It's like Voltron, but you also want instants and sorceries.
I could see like combat trick Voltron almost.
I guess.
Maybe, yeah.
Because it is on attack,
Okay,
right?
okay.
Hear me out.
Hear me out. You equip him with Argentum armor, which costs 6, and then you can cast Time Warp from your hand for free.
It's true.
I'll flash in Gerard's hourglass of go away.
Hear me out. Hear me
Don't
out.
listen
Hear me
to
out.
him.
Hear
That
me
card
out.
doesn't exist.
Maskwood Nexus.
Next up, we have Tobias, Doomed Conqueror, 2 white, blue for a human soldier with flash on a 3/2 body that says, whenever he dies, for each non-token creature you controlled that died this turn, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. In response to your wrath, I'll anti-wrath.
Yeah.
Like, weird.
Is there, hey, you guys dying down there? Me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, obviously you can have him on the battlefield to like make that less likely, so you don't have to flash in response.
Right.
But what a
the-
unusual card.
It's the weirdest got him ever.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to play Wrath. Nah, I was waiting for this.
I wanted to die.
You fell into the I'm gonna hurt myself more card.
Yeah.
You thought I was holding up counterspell magic? You wish.
No, I do like the idea of this. I think they've been planting a lot more sweeper hosers recently, and I'm kind of a fan of that. I especially enjoy that it's got flash because those basically have to, but it also doesn't require it to be that turn. It's also able to go whenever he dies.
Yeah.
That's pretty great.
Yeah, I like that they're doing the like flash or the wrath like hosers in like different flavors or whatever, right? Like this is one you want for a zombie deck, maybe.
I was gonna say go wide.
Right?
I was gonna say
yeah. So like,
but like
White
non-token
tokens?
is the problem.
oh, do
Yeah.
be saying non-token?
Yeah, so it's got to be kind of like a weird, like
Very
stand-up tribal build almost.
Yeah, very weird line of text.
Maybe soldiers? Who knows? Anyway,
weird word.
let's talk about Tor Wauki. Tor Wauki. Yeah, we're going to go with that one. Let's talk about Tor Wauki the Younger. 3 black-red for a human archer. 3/3 with reach and lifelink. If another source you control would deal non-combat damage to a permanent or player, deals that much damage +1 to that permanent or player instead. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Tor Wauki the Younger deals 2 damage to any target.
Notably odd converted
Yes.
mana cost, so you can have Obosh the Prey Piercer as your companion, and then play a bunch of 3 mana things that deal now more damage.
Yeah.
I like pinging.
It's good to note that they do not apply that effect to themselves.
Yeah. Yeah,
Which is
it's
another
already
source.
pretty aggressive, but the fact that it has lifelink,
Lifelink's real like
that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I could see this out of all the uncommons being one of the more powerful build grounds that gets put out. Next up is Torsten, founder of Benalia. 5 green white for a human soldier. 7/7. That when it enters the battlefield, reveal the top 7 cards of your library. Put any number of creature and or land cards from among them into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. When he dies, create 7/1/1 white creature soldier tokens.
it's like a slot machine.
Yeah,
Ding,
weird.
ding, 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 ding,
On the
ding,
top
ding.
7. 7 is a lot.
Yeah.
But 7 mana.
Yeah.
And this goes to hand. Like if they
Yeah.
went to play, then this would be
If they went into play, that'd
Bonkers,
be sick. But yeah, it's pretty good. Next up, let's talk about Zira, the Golden Sting. 1 black, red, green for an insect assassin, flying in haste, 3/3. Whenever it attacks, put an egg counter on another target creature without an egg counter on it. When that creature dies, if it has an egg counter on it, draw a card and create a 1/1 black insect creature token with flying.
We have to put up the picture of the insect token.
Do we have to? These things are haunting my dreams.
The
for the rest
combination
of
of
time.
these two is
It's like a little bug kid
little
with a whole
dapper
little Victorian
bug kid,
boy, yeah.
But it looks like someone put a bug head on a Victorian
Okay,
boy. Not
listen.
like-
The part I hate about this is like, hey, you want to play as a wasp who puts its eggs inside your enemies' like bodies, and then when they explode, you also get more kids to.
Yes,
hate.
That is
Hate.
That's why I got into Magic.
Let me just put it this way, Jund, I'm out.
Nice one.
It's an assassin. You can't play with Ramsey.
Yeah, you sure can. Next up, I think we're looking at the main set now. We've got
Yes.
Karn, Living Legacy, 4 mana. Karn Planeswalker for 4 loyalty. Cannot be your commander. +1, create a tapped Power Stone token. Yeah.
Neat.
-1, pay any amount of mana. Look at that many cards from the top of your library, then put 1 of those cards into your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. You could use your Power Stone tokens.
mana,
Not so bad. -7. You get an emblem with tap an untapped artifact you control. This emblem deals 1 damage to any target. I have wanted this ability to exist for forever, and it's
You
not
can use your
looking
Power
right.
Stones.
You could. I guess my point is Karn Living Legacy just seems expensive for not a ton of payoff.
Yeah. It's underwhelming. Again, like 4 loyalty start with the big draw being the ultimate there on 7 is tough.
Well, even compared to the other 4 mana cards. So Great Creator is bonkers.
Yeah.
And what's the other one? It's not Liberated. Liberated's 7 mana. But there's another card that exiles things with silver counters on them, and you get to bring them back.
Oh yeah, Karn the Studious Robot or something like that.
Yeah, card in pants.
Yeah,
Karn
you
and
just put it
Bats.
up here somewhere,
Yeah.
Jim. That'd be great. Thanks. That one. That's the one
That's
we're
the
talking
one.
about. Anyway, let's move on to talk about Danitha, Benalia's Hope, 4 and a white for a human knight with First Strike, Vigilance, Lifelink, 4/4. When it enters the battlefield, you may put an aura or equipment card from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield attached. Give me that card.
Yep. I'm putting Eldrazi Conscription on this thing and going choo-choo until...
Doesn't have haste.
Doesn't need haste.
Oh.
At least I don't think so. I think it's a house and a half. You're basically saying premium removal or I start winning.
Yeah.
It is actually really sweet. I do like this card.
Yeah, and I think the thing I like the most about it is it's or graveyard, because if this was just hand, it would already be pretty good. The fact that you can go get that Eldrazi conscription after it's already died once, that's just great. Next up, let's talk about Braids, Arisen Nightmare, 1 black for a Nightmare, 3/3. At the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice an artifact, creature, enchantment, land, or planeswalker. If you do, each opponent may sacrifice a permanent that shares a creature type, a card type with it. For each opponent who doesn't, that player loses 2 life and you draw a card.
That's insane. I love this card. This card's bonkers.
Yeah, this is a really cool take on the Braids effect, like the smokestack effect. They either... Like, I like that it's technically an option, you know? Like, either you sacrifice the thing with me, or you slowly lose the game. And I
draw a card.
Each opponent, in theory, that's drawing 3 cards. Nobody's letting you draw 3 cards.
Not if they can help it.
Yeah, like...
It's also on end step, not even upkeep, so you get it the turn you play it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the only thing I'd be worried about with something like this is running out of whatever you've been abusing people on. Like, for example, if you're trying to abuse people on enchantments because people aren't running them, you might not have enough of them yourself. So however you plan your game plan for this Braids might have a huge difference in how it actually plays out for you. But overall, I'm pretty high on this card. I had a joke from a person that I was watching on my Twitter who said Braids Arisen Nightmare should be banned for flavor reasons in Commander.
True.
Yeah. So consistency. Get on that.
Because that's one thing the ban list is well known for. Anyway, moving on. The Raven Man, 1 and a black for a human wizard, 2/1. At the beginning of each end step, if a player discarded a card this turn, create a 1/1 black bird creature token with flying, and this creature can't block. 3 and a black. Tap. Each opponent discards a card. Activate only as a sorcery.
Underwhelming again, I think. It's cheap, you know, it's 2 mana, but it is not 1 bird for each discarded card.
It's if anybody did it.
Right. It's just like the if clause on making a single bird.
I don't hate a 2 mana 2/1 with upside.
Right. It is each end step.
Yeah.
If you have a way to make somebody discard on your turn and each of your opponent's turns, sure, you are in theory making 4 1/1 black bird creature tokens with flying, and this creature can't block.
That's great,
turn
right?
cycle. But you can only activate his ability as a sorcery.
Yeah.
So
I think from a card design standpoint, for how mysterious and manipulative they made this character out in any of the lore you were reading and how he's trying to manipulate Liliana and stuff, he's very underwhelming.
Yeah, like exactly like you're saying, like the story built up so much hype about him, like he should have been, I don't know.
He should have been another Planeswalker.
Well, that's
Probably,
fair.
Yeah.
Regardless, next up, we do have a planeswalking personage. It's Shieldred, the Apocalypse. 2 black for a Phyrexian Praetor. Death Touch on a 4/5 body, even though she's several miles long. And whenever you draw a card, you gain 2 life. Whenever an opponent draws a card, they lose 2 life.
Yeah, this is another one where it's kind of like the picture does not represent the skill, or like the mana value and power toughness does not match the scale of this picture, even remotely.
Also, Chris Ron just...
Yeah.
Wow.
However, I'm really glad that this card only costs 4 mana, because this card is really good with Lich's Mastery.
Yes.
So some of you may know, our beloved Jim of the Spike Feeders is a notorious Lich. Yeah, rest in undeath, because he's a Lich.
Oh, did he move to Quebec?
Nice.
Yeah. Deep cut.
Yeah, Lich's Mastery, very powerful card, says whenever you gain life, draw a card. Shieldred says whenever you draw a card, you gain 2 life. So you just draw literally your entire deck.
Bofa.
Then you draw and you lose the game, right? Because
But you can't.
But Lich's Mastery says you can't lose the game. And then you didn't draw, so the life gain stops triggering, and you just have your whole deck in
And
your
a bunch of
hands
life.
And a bunch of life.
That seems great.
Yeah. I
Seems
want
really
to do dirty things with this card.
Right on.
Yeah, I got nothing else to add.
That's fair. Next up is Jaya, Fiery Negotiator, 2 red for Jaya Planeswalker, cannot be your commander. +1, create a 1/1 red monk creature token with prowess, one of my favorite abilities. -1, exile the top 2 cards of your library. Choose one of them, you may play that card this turn. -2, choose target creature an opponent controls. Whenever you attack this turn, Jaya, Fiery Negotiator, deals damage equal to the number of attacking creatures to that creature. -8, you get an emblem with whenever you cast a red instant or sorcery spell, copy it twice. You may choose new targets for the copies, comes in with 4 loyalty. 4 ability Planeswalkers seem good.
Yeah, 4 mana, 4 loyalty, 4 abilities. I like that its minus is just kind of like the red card advantage thing lately. The -2 is a little weird. Like, I guess it technically synergizes with the plus, right? Like making the monks, you attack with the monks to kill the thing to protect Jaya. But I feel like you're probably not -2ing very often. No. You're like either, I foresee you're either like playing this thing, like minusing a couple times, plusing a couple times, minusing a couple times, or you're like slamming this thing, trying to get to 8 to kill people.
Yeah. I think Jan especially likes the emblem there.
I like the emblem. And again, it's one of those ones we were talking about earlier. It feels like the abilities on this Planeswalker, you're trying to do 2 different strategies and it doesn't synergize. So like if you looked at another 4 mana red Planeswalker with 4 abilities, Chandra, Torch of Defiance, all of her abilities push towards getting you to the emblem and killing people with the emblem.
Yeah.
Like the minus removes creatures, but just straight up. There's no weird conditions. It's 4 damage. Or it's +2, basically get her minus ability, or plus for 2 red mana.
Yeah.
And you're just pushing towards that thing.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't think Jaya ticks up fast enough for the emblem to be like really a good game plan. So I think you probably play this in like a Boros aggro token.
Yeah.
And you plus a couple times, and then you can use her minus to like
look
get
for cards
things out of the way,
or
look for
blow
cards,
stuff
yeah.
up. Yeah.
Actually, yeah, even just, like making a couple monks, searching for some things, like providing card advantage with the minus there. Like, I actually see it.
Yeah.
I don't hate it.
Yeah, it's really nice. Next up is Squee, Dubious Monarch, 2 and a red for a Goblin Noble with haste 2/2. Whenever Squee, Dubious Monarch attacks, create a 1/1 red Goblin creature token that's tapped and attacking. You may cast Squee, Dubious Monarch from your graveyard by playing 3 and a red and exiling 4 other cards from your graveyard rather than paying its mana cost.
He's back and he's still immortal,
Yeah.
baby.
He's escaping.
Less good immortal than the other ones.
Less immortal than previously.
No,
But
this seems fine.
yeah,
It's okay.
I think this is probably better in like standard, like a 3/3 with haste for 2 that comes in and makes more bodies when it attacks.
Yeah.
And it also escapes. I actually think this is probably a curve topper in like a red deck wins.
yeah. The one thing where like a 3 mana thing that has haste and makes things that attack, I was like kind of looking at this for potentially Winota in CEDH. But the fact that the token that it makes obviously enters attacking and therefore doesn't trigger Winota, it just like kind of, it would build up those tokens to use the next turn.
Yeah. If it doesn't die.
Right. It seems a little too slow for that deck, but I mean, people love Squee.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Squeeze
if you're looking for that, like 3 mana attacking, making things to attack, you're going with Goblin Rabble Master for Winota.
Yeah, Goblin and the other one from
Legion
Warboss.
Yeah. Those ones are too strong.
Well, next up, it's a Johnny, Sleeper Agent. 1 green, Selesnya Phyrexian, and a white for legendary Planeswalker Ajani, who is completed, which means that if you pay the life for that Phyrexian Selesnya, he'll enter with 2 fewer loyalty counters, +1 to reveal the top card of your library. If it's a creature or Planeswalker card, put it into your hand. Otherwise, you may put it on the bottom of your library. -3 for distribute 3 +1/+1 counters on up to 3 target creatures. They gain vigilance until end of turn. And -6 for an emblem with, whenever you cast a creature or Planeswalker spell, target opponent gets 2 poison counters.
This feels very Ajani until you get to the -6. Like I was like, I don't understand how this is a Phyrexian Ajani ability, and then it's like, yeah, poison counters. You're like, oh yeah, no, I see it now.
Yeah. Still very Selesnya. Like basically up until you get there, you're absolutely right. I would have thought this would have been fine if they hadn't taken yet another white Planeswalker away from us.
Yeah, it's okay. We can still play them in
This
white.
one
It's
seems
just-
weird.
Just they keep turning evil or dying.
Yeah. This one seems weird because like if you're completing him out and therefore in theory playing him turn 3, you're like plussing him to then 3, right? Because he enters at 2.
Yeah.
And like I just don't think you're ever getting to 6 at that point in like a creature strategy to like what? Like play a bunch of 1 mana green and white creatures to give somebody 10 poison counters, and it's target opponent.
You got it.
So you have to play 15 1-drop creatures, or not necessarily 1-drops, right? But like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's the casting. If it was enters the battlefield on creatures and it counted tokens, then we're probably in business.
Yeah.
But it's the fact that you got to cast them. Anyway, good card. I like the flavor on it. I do like that it's like, oh, I'm a normal cat guy. I'm just doing cat guy stuff, but also poison counters. Like, I like that.
Yeah.
He's got an Inspector Gadget body now.
Go Gadget, a Johnny arm.
Go Gadget, horrible betrayal.
Go Gadget, poison counters.
Speaking of horrible betrayal, let's talk about Aaron, Benalia's Ruin, white, black for a Phyrexian human with menace on a 3/3 body. White and a black can tap to sacrifice another creature. Put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control.
Yeah, not typically a fan of these kind of sacrifice abilities that are so cost prohibited. Like this costs 2 mana of different colors and you have to tap him. But it seems neat.
I think this is especially good in something that's a more budget-focused tokens build. I think especially if you wanted to build this in an artisan shell, this would go really well. I do like that he's a 3/3 for 3 with menace. Even if you don't activate his abilities, he's good.
Smack.
I think at rare, if it was rare instead of uncommon, it would be 1 white and black, and it would be like a hybrid black for his ability.
I can see that.
It has to be the same.
I could definitely see that. Next up, let's talk about Aster, Bearer of Blades, 2 red, white for a human warrior 4/4. When Aster enters the battlefield, look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may reveal an equipment or vehicle card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And it has the abilities. Equipment you control have Equip 1, and vehicles you control have Crew 1 on a 4/4 body. I kind of like that.
Yeah, I think like this is pretty obviously like the new vehicles commander.
Yeah.
Vehicles you control have Crew 1 is nutty with all of the things that happen to make like little 1/1s and whatever, and you're just like, get in Parhelion 2. Use single 1/1.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know how much you're going to be using the equipment you control have Equip 1, simply because there's so many other ways to get free equip or alternative equip cost. But this, I think, is the first time we've seen vehicles had this kind of thing going on. So I like that a lot.
Yeah. Like I think he's the new premier like vehicles commander, but I think he slides into an equipment shell pretty easily as well. You know, like in the 99 of some kind of Voltron deck, both of these things are great. 4 mana to look at the top 7 is a lot, and then also with equipments you control of Equip 1, I think that's like
because there are some equipments that have like equip, sacrifice a creature, or equip.
Like or even just like things. Equip 4 or something, right? Like
it's not so bad. Next up, let's talk about Baird, Argivian recruiter for red and white on a 2/2 body for a human soldier that says, at the beginning of your end step, if you control a creature with power greater than its base power, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token. As you might imagine, I love this.
What?
Yes.
Alex?
I actually I'm likely
tokens.
I am likely going to build this simply because it's very easy to get a creature with power greater than its base power.
Oh yeah.
And this kind of engine starting on turn 2 at the end step is the other part of this. I'm just a huge fan of it. All you really need is anything that comes in with a counter, anything that comes in with equipment, like Ancestral Blade turns this on.
Oh yeah.
Like I just like that a lot. And again, another great build around for Artisan.
I was saying, you literally have this deck put together. You just put this in place of your Assembled Legion, and your deck is done.
Yeah, actually.
You literally just have this deck already built.
Anytime somebody doesn't want to play Assemble the Legion, I'll just slap Baird in. Actually, that's a great idea. I think I might just do that. Next up, let's talk about Balmor, Battle Mage Captain. Red and a blue for another uncommon legendary 1/3 flying with whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain trample until end of turn. Whew.
This is another in a long line of
pseudo prowess.
Yeah, like
Adelies.
It's prowess-ish. I like this one the most thus far because it is 2 mana. It's obviously it has flying like Adelies does as well. Yeah. But it's a bird wizard, and that's cool.
And also trample.
True, it gives everything trample with it. Yeah.
Trample I think is the big news here. Yeah. Because that just says I'd like to put the game away.
Yeah.
So next up, we've got Bortuk Bone Rattle for black green for yet another artisan capable troll shaman 4/4 with domain. When it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, choose target creature card in your graveyard, return that card to the battlefield if its mana value is less than or equal to the number of basic land types among the lands you control. Otherwise, put it into your hand. Let's talk about a pop quiz on domain real quick. How big can domain get?
5.
Oh, but what about waste, Elliot?
Shut up.
Okay, well, actually...
Wastes don't have a basic land type.
That's the
real
real
answer.
Thank you, Elliot.
Wastes are basic lands. Waste is not a basic land type.
That's correct. So we're getting something for 5 or less out of there. I think this is okay. Of all the things I've seen so far, the fact that we have to cast this to get it out kind of hampers its utility.
It also doesn't make a very good commander because then it's two or less.
Yeah. So I don't know that I'm going to be building around this too much. It does have some potential for someone somewhere. I just don't know what it is, and I can't see it myself.
Yeah, somebody write in the comments if Bortuk Bone Rattle was the legend you were waiting for.
Yeah, please do. Next up is Ellis Ilkor, Sadistic Pilgrim, black, white for a Phyrexian Core Cleric, 2/2, with Death Touch. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under you control, you gain 1 life. Whenever another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life.
This card's insane.
This card's
I like
dope.
a lot.
This card's killing people.
Yes.
This is one of those ones, and like you can correct me in the comics, but I think flavor-wise, my only letdown on this is it doesn't have shadow.
Yeah, it's an Ilkor.
Yeah.
Is that what the Ilkor were? Were the shadow
yeah,
ones?
The Ilkor,
Looter
the
Ilkor has
Encore,
shadow.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like again, we could
Good
be
call.
wrong because we're not huge Vorthos, but I feel like it should have shadow,
Hello, Vorthos fans. Please correct us.
which ironically makes the Death Touch basically useless.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. I think it is. I think like the keyword kind of being thrown on there as extra anyway, though, right? Like you're not playing this thing because it's a 2-mana 2/2 with Death Touch.
No, absolutely
So
not.
it could have been shadow and it would have been fine. And
Yeah.
neat.
I will say that this is almost certainly going to show up in a Better Know combo.
Oh,
yeah.
It's just
You ever heard of Blood Artist, Alex?
No, I
You ever
haven't.
heard of Zulaport Cutthroat?
No, I've never heard of
Not this thing now.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Next up is Urtai Resurrected. 2 blue-black for a Phyrexian human wizard on the type line. Wow, say that 5 times fast. With Flash. When he enters the battlefield, choose up to 1. Counter target spell activated ability or triggered ability. Its controller draws a card. Or destroy another target creature or planeswalker. Its controller draws a card on a 3/2 body. I think this is a house.
I really like this.
So, this thing's cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
very cool. I like Urtai, the original Urtai, the corrupted. Very cool.
That's not the original
Shout out.
Urtai.
You're not the original Urtai.
The original Urtai is blue.
Oh my gosh.
Fine.
Spells. Yeah.
Shout out to Cobblepot, notorious CEDH brewer. He pointed out on Twitter, and I happened to see it, that this thing counters or stifles the Thassa's Oracle win the game trigger and makes them
draw a
lose the
card.
game by drawing a card.
Yeah.
Wow. Love it.
Yes.
Big fan.
If
Big
they
fan.
if they don't have the lab man backup, then yes, this is
Wow.
nuts. I love this card.
That's really, really good.
And it's a
Potentially-
wizard.
Yeah. Phyrexian, human, wizard, flash. So you mentioned like Ramses maybe being some kind of weird like anti-Adnaz type thing. I think this thing in the command zone might be could very potentially be some kind of blue-black.
Why don't we put this in the Ramses deck as an anti-Thassa's Oracle
Yeah.
deck? Anyway, let's talk about Garna. Bloodfist of Keld, 1 black, red for a human berserker, 4/3. Whenever another creature you control dies, draw a card if it was attacking. Otherwise, Garna deals 1 damage to each opponent.
This one's weird. Attacking creature tribal is very Rakdos. Yeah, you just get like extra value either if they block or
Even if they don't.
if they wrath or whatever, right? Like
I think this has a lot of similarities in a lot of ways to the Ilkor we just looked at because it's dealing 1 damage to each opponent on any death that's outside the combat step, basically.
yeah.
That's not bad.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, it's a secondary thing. If
You're
a creature
right.
dies, if it was attacking, you get to draw a card. Otherwise,
it's just another blood artist.
Have you heard of Blood Artist?
What the heck?
What about Zulaport Cutthroat? Anyway, next
I
up.
didn't even put that together until literally just now. You saw
right?
that shit live.
Yeah. Let's talk about Ivy. Gleeful Spell Thief. Green and a blue for a fairy rogue. 2/1 flying. Whenever a player casts a spell that targets only a single creature other than Ivy, Gleeful Spell Thief. Wow. You may copy that spell. The copy targets Ivy.
This one's cute. I've seen people wanting to not meld. What's the thing?
Mutate. Yeah.
Onto things and have them also mutate onto Ivy. And to that, I say, congratulations on your game of solitaire.
Yeah.
Like, congratulations keeping track of your board state. I would like to not do so.
Shout out to Infinite Tokens if you do need to tackle that particular piece of tech, I guess.
Tech
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah, go check them out. They've got really great stuff. You can write on the tokens. There's all sorts of other counters and things you can get there. Shilling, but not sponsored.
They're just cool.
They're just super
Shout out
cool.
to
Hashtag cool
Yeah,
people.
very cool. Next up, Joyra, Ageless Innovator, blue, red for a Human Artificer 2/3. Tap it to put 2 Ingenuity counters on Joyra. Then you may put an artifact card with mana at value X or less from your hand onto the battlefield, where X is the number of Ingenuity counters on Joyra.
This card's bonkers. I love it.
Yeah, it's super good.
We got to cut that. I got too excited.
You know what? We can bleep it.
Okay, we'll bleep it.
We're keeping it in.
Yeah, that's how excited I am for this card.
Jan, please go off.
Oh, it's just like, I don't know. There's so many good artifacts. Like this is the Joyra you wanted in the artifact one. Like the one that lets you draw cards and you cast historic spells was really good too. And like the suspend one was funny. But this is like, first of all, it's a 2-mana 2/3.
Yeah.
So that's turn 2. And then, you're not attacking with it. So, and it's also, you can do it whenever you want. So like this might also even be a stacks deck.
Yeah, fair
Because
enough.
you can like stacks out hate pieces when things are on the stack, when abilities go on, and I don't know. It's insane.
That is actually pretty sick.
Yeah, even just like goes around once and then you're like, okay, tap this, put a Felwar Stone into play.
Yeah.
And the next turn you're like, what? Tap this, put a Hedron Archive into play. Next turn, tap this, put I don't even
You're
know
up to
what
6,
costs
yeah.
6. Like a Worm Coil Engine? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is like
The other nice thing about it is it says artifact card. So you could put
the
something
lands.
like Mycosynth Lattice.
yep. You can put the lands on
Light
it.
Steel Colossus.
Yeah.
Ooh, get really funny.
No, yeah, you could do so much with this.
I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that I'm pretty happy about, but mostly because of how angry it makes everybody around me, it's Joda, the Unifier. For Wooburg, Human Wizard 5/5. Legendary creatures you control get +X/+X, where X is the number of legendary creatures you control. That's pretty good. Oh, wait, there's more. Whenever you cast a legendary spell from your hand, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a legendary non-land card with lesser mana value. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost, put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order, or Cascade for legendary.
Yeah.
Yes.
A very explicitly legendary cascade, right? It happens when you cast a legendary. It can only find another legendary.
Yeah.
This thing's absolutely bonkers.
I don't know. Were there any good legendaries in those colors we talked about at all today?
Yeah. Just 7, 12, 14,
Yeah,
62.
here, we'll go over them again.
Yeah. Just the
9-hour video.
This is sick. Maybe one of the premier 5-color commanders. Like it's basically First Sliver on steroids.
It is like legendary tribal only,
Yes.
kind of a thing, right? But yes, like if you are playing a legendary creatures deck, you are now playing Joda. Probably.
Yeah, so that's the like the hot take controversial discussion we have is, does this replace Sisse?
Right.
And that's just it. Like, what do you need more access to? You need more access to this or more access to Sisse? And I'm not sure there's a real answer there.
And you could play both.
Yeah.
Sisse tutors this to your battlefield,
Yeah, exactly.
and makes herself exceedingly large to then tutor God knows what. Like,
Because they have the same effect.
Minimum a 6/6 when he comes out. Like,
Yeah.
that's nuts. And he only gets bigger from there because he doesn't exclude himself from his Lord ability.
Correct.
yeah.
So, anyway, super good. Check out Joda. Next up, King Darien, the
I think it's 43rd.
No, it's got to be 48th.
V.
L
X.
X before L is 40, and then V 333 is 8. So I'm going to go with 48. King Darien the 48th. 1 green, white, and do not at me comments if I got this wrong. I'm trying hard today. Just be nice to me. Other creatures you control get +1/+1. 3 white, green. Put a 1/1 counter on King Darien and create a 1/1 white soldier creature token. Sacrifice King Darien. Creatures you control. Creature tokens you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn on a 2/3 body. This is about as Selesnya as it gets.
Yep.
100%.
It's a lord. It makes it tokens. It does
Protects your
counters.
tokens.
Protects your tokens. It's good.
It's got the whatever the rhino's ability is to like sack, give your things indestructible or whatever.
Yeah.
I love
It
that
has
little
like
rhino.
blossoming defense.
I do like that they didn't put the 48th in the rules text anywhere because they didn't want to repeat that.
I saw one of the like cheeky gatherer add-ons or whatever for this, and it was like, when you pay X for a cost, X is that on the stack, but the X in King Darien's name always stands for 40 or something like that.
it probably always stands for 10.
Sure.
Yeah. Wow, that's great.
Yeah, it was funny.
Next up, Lagomos, Hand of Hatred, 1 black, red for a human shaman, 1/3. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a 2/1 red elemental creature token with trample and haste. Sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. Tap it to search your library for a card, put it into your hand, then shuffle. Activate only if 5 or more creatures have died this turn.
That's kind of kooky.
Right?
It's an uncommon, so
Yeah.
again, maybe in Artisan it's like
Yeah.
powerful enough.
Yeah.
But also, this is not happening.
Oh, here's the thing. You get this up there with like your Rite of the Raging Storm. You get like that one Chandra that makes the 2 elementals that sacrifice it in a turn. It's maybe not the best thing in the world, and I don't know if you can play it in Artisan that way.
Right.
But it doesn't do nothing.
Come in with the dictate, and
Yeah.
you're like, pow.
There you go. Next up, let's talk about Mirius, the Scholar of Antiquity. 1 red, green for an Elf Artificer. 3/3. Tapped an untapped non-token artifact you control. Add green. Tap 2 untapped non-token artifacts you control. Exile the top card of your library. You may play it this turn.
So
This is Gruul Urza.
yeah, important to note, you cannot use your power stones for this.
Yeah, fair.
I feel like I'm starting to become a broken record on why is this green,
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
it's a very the second ability is very red. It's like
Yeah.
very pushed red ability. I don't understand.
Why do
the
you
green.
add green for tapping the non-tokens?
well,
They
that-
should be blue-red.
I don't like green interacting with artifacts like
Yeah,
this.
well, exactly.
I don't know what green is anymore, or rather, I don't know what green isn't anymore. Is what I'm getting to.
The worst
Just
color?
It's just a soup.
There
Yeah.
we go. We found
Just
it.
a melange. Next up, it's nail.
Nail.
Nail. Okay.
Neil
Neil
Bueller.
Bueller.
Next up, it's nail. Avizoa Aeronaut, 2 green blue for an Elf Scout, 2/4 with flying and domain. Whenever nail deals combat damage to a player, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of basic land types among lands you control. Put up to 1 of them on top of your library and the rest on the bottom in a random order. Then if there are 5 basic land types among cards you control, draw a card.
I don't like
Another uncommon legendary for the 5-color legendaries deck.
Yeah.
You know, you want to be activating the domain ability on this for 5, so you can't really play it as a commander.
this. So even then, I don't even really want to play.
Really?
this. I don't know.
think
I
it's
guess it's
cute.
okay.
It has to hit, I guess.
Look at top 5, hit in the air, draw a card out of the top 5. Doesn't stink, but
Yeah.
for
I mean,
4,
for 4.
There's so
mana.
many sweet legendaries now that like
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I can find a cut for this.
yeah. Next up, Najal, the Storm Runner, 2 blue, blue, red for an Efreet Wizard, 5/4. You may cast sorcery spells as though they had flash. Whenever Najal attacks, you may pay 2. If you do, when you cast your next instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy.
This is another one I'm really excited about.
Really?
I'm not gonna swear, but like as an uncommon, this is insane.
Yeah.
Actually, even just giving your sorcery spells flash
Yeah.
is really cool in like most of the decks you're gonna play. Those like Veyran, basically anything but the Joyra deck because Joyra is all artifacts. And then it's a 5/4, so why aren't you attacking?
Yeah.
And if you have the extra mana, then you're just like next instant or sorcery is gonna be copied.
Yeah.
And
I remember.
it's bonkers.
This is also definitely just like the art wise.
Yes.
It's just legally distinct flash.
I just really like it because as soon as I saw it, my brain went, "This is a Jan spell."
So
Yeah, Jan's
so-
playing this card.
art thing aside, so for art in this set in general, I really love all the stained glass stuff, and it's the legends get the stained glass treatment. Everything else gets the widescreen. He looks like Nicol Bolas in his art, the stained glass art. It's I love the card. It's maybe one of my least favorite stained glass arts.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so we'll put up the comparisons, and you can tell me I'm wrong, but
Do
it
that.
looks like Nicol Bolas.
We need more
almost.
engagement. While
Yes.
you're watching this, comment, like, and subscribe. And if you can't think of a comment, just say, Jan, you're wrong.
Yeah, that's fair.
I like that.
Next up, it's Namada, Primeval Warden. 2 black green for a Tree Folk 3/4 with reach. If a creature an opponent controls would die, exile instead. When you do, create a 1/1 green sapling creature token. Green, sacrifice a sapling. Namada Primeval Warden gets +2/+2 until end of turn. 1 and a black, sacrifice 2 saplings. Draw a card. It's like Slimefoot grew up.
Yeah.
Oh, it could be.
Yeah, it's a weird little sapling dude. I like that line of text. The if a creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead.
That's
Yeah.
pretty good. That's,
like having incidental graveyard hate. But
it's not
I
bad
like-
for a 4 mana.
yeah, like I guess this is maybe a new sapling tribal commander.
They've had a lot of things with those recently.
Yeah.
They've got the one that spits them out on every upkeep now and goes makes them 3/3s with City's Blessing.
Yeah, I
Stuff
mean,
like that.
oh yeah, the tender shoot dryad. Or
Yeah, that's the
whatever.
one.
Yeah,
That's-
like sacrificing them to draw cards is not bad.
That and we're going to be going back to Ixalan, so I don't imagine we won't be seeing more saplings.
That and Maskwood Nexus.
Oh, God damn.
Stop talking about that.
Queen Alanal of Rudak. white, green for an elf noble star, whose power and toughness are each equal to the number of creatures you control. If one or more creature tokens would be created under your control, those tokens plus a 1/1 white soldier creature token are created instead.
Super Selesnya.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought the king was more Selesnya than anybody else, but this is it.
This is like...
I'm interested in this card because I have a cheeky little aristocrats deck that likes that second ability.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like, oh, I'm making a bunch of tokens anyway. Might as well make more.
Well, even with things... let's figure out how this interacts with the make angels when you make a thing.
Since they're both replacement effects, we get to choose the order, so we can make them whatever else plus a soldier, and then we can make them both angels.
Yeah. So,
Sick.
It's sweet.
Anyway, let's talk about Rada, Coalition Warlord. 2 red, green for an elf warrior, 3/3 with domain. Whenever it becomes tapped, another target creature you control gets +X/+X until end turn, where X is the number of basic land types you control. Seems fine.
Yeah.
Another uncommon legendary for the legendary tribal deck because you're wanting to domain this for 5.
Yeah, can't really hold that in the command zone.
Another art shout out. They just keep making Rada like thicker every time we see her.
Yeah. Big fan. Good job, Randy. Raph, Weatherlight Stalwart, blue and a white for human wizard, 1/3. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you may tap up to 2 untapped creatures you control. If you do, draw a card. 3 white creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain vigilance until end of turn.
Weird one.
Very.
I don't see this doing too much.
Weird post-combat instance. It's kind of a strange...
Yeah. It's fine.
Yeah.
I don't hate it.
It's a 1/3.
I don't
Some
think
kind of like weird blue-white like skies type deck where
like
you
birds?
Yeah, right. Like you pay 5 to give all your birds vigilance, and then like you happen to play a counter spell on your opponent's turn, so you tap 2 of them to draw a card or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, strange.
Next up, let's talk about Rata Drabik of Urborg. Say that 5 times fast.
Yeah, this is why Alex does this, not me.
2 white, black for a zombie wizard, 3/3 vigilance, ward 2. Other zombies you control have vigilance. Whenever another legendary creature you control dies, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's not legendary, and it's a 2/2 black zombie in addition to its other colors and types. I like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just get back your legendaries after they get murked. Seems fine.
Yeah.
The fact that this
And
thing
they have
itself
vigilance.
has ward too
Yeah.
is like crazy. Like this thing's unkillable.
Yeah, very much so. I don't know. How do you feel about the zombies giving all the new zombies vigilance as well?
Vigilance is such a weird zombie mechanic.
Yeah.
But like also, I'm in for it. Like it's white. Like that's very obviously it's a white mechanic in there. So I'm like, I think it's really cool. Like reanimating your, but it also it exiles them. So like you can't. Oh no,
It does not.
it doesn't. All right, cool. This is like insane. Yeah.
You can
Just do it up.
You could
Just do
actually
it up.
reanimate the other one, and since it's not legendary,
Oh, it's
got both,
non-legendary.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Rith, Liberated Primeval, 2 red, green, white for a dragon, 5/5 flying, ward 2. Other dragons you control have ward 2. At the beginning of your end step, if a creature or planeswalker an opponent controlled was dealt excess damage this turn, create a 4/4 red dragon creature token with flying. I like that they're playing around with excess damage.
This is a dragon commander, you know?
Yes.
That blue-black lady, that's not a dragon commander. This is a dragon commander.
There you go.
Yeah.
Look at how many times this thing says dragon.
This
on
goes
it.
in your dragon deck because
Oh, yeah.
all of your things are dragons. But no, like it's sweet. Ward's an insane mechanic.
That's what I'm saying.
I like Ward because it's a better version of Hexproof, which is itself a better version of Shroud.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. They learned not too quickly, but pretty quickly that like just hard walling targeting is too strong. But like Ward 2, that's like half hexproof.
Yeah, it's
like
very-
I'm not paying an extra 2 a lot of the time.
yeah, no, you're gonna have to really convince me I need to kill it.
Yeah.
Rivaz of the Claw, 1 black red for a Vashino Warlock, 3/3 with menace. Tap it to add 2 mana in any combination of colors. Spend this mana only to cast dragon creature spells. Once during each of your turns, you may cast a dragon creature spell from your graveyard. Whenever you cast a dragon creature spell from your graveyard, it gains when this creature dies, exile it.
I think this is probably another one that's going in the 99 as opposed to being like the head of a Rakdos dragon deck. But that tap ability is strong, right? Like add whatever, green, white, add blue, black, like sure.
And to get it out of your graveyard too.
Yeah, being able to cast them from your yard.
It also doesn't add like one of those like we've been seeing like conditional like sacrifice at end of turn. It just adds the when it dies,
When it
exile
dies, yeah,
but it's not a like temporary reanimate.
I will say that I'm not a huge fan of something they've done a lot more of in this set, which is creating Perpetual, which is a thing in Arena, in the paper game.
Right.
I don't think that this is too much complexity, but I would prefer that they don't keep walking down that path, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Right, like having to keep track of like, wait, did I cast this one from my graveyard? Did I cast this one?
Yeah.
Especially since it's last.
Infinite Tokens is really good for doing that.
It's not till end of turn. It's
Shilling, but not sponsored. Let's talk about Rona. Shieldred's Faithful. 1 blue, black, black for a human wizard, 3/4. With whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, each opponent loses 1 life. You may cast Rona, Shieldred's Faithful, from your graveyard by discarding 2 cards in addition to paying its other costs. It's pretty okay.
I want to play this in a Isochron Scepter deck.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I would play this in
kills
Sirku.
people.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
I'd play this in like a Sirku.
I would play this instead of Sirku.
Really?
Yeah.
It's like
You cast the copy off of Isochron Scepter. This just kills everybody.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. I hadn't thought about that. So does that make Dramatic Scepter lethal without a third piece?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sick.
Or she is the third
sorry.
piece, but
Yeah.
she can be in your command zone.
Yeah.
So you just have to find Scepter.
And you don't even have to go positive on Scepter. You just have to
no,
be
it's just net neutral.
You have to go positive if you have not already cast her.
Right. But if you go positive and can cast her. Ooh, that's nice. I like that.
Yeah. It's like really compact.
Yeah, extremely. Next up, let's talk about Rulikmon's Warren Chief. 1 red, green, green for a goblin 3/3 with menace. Whenever Rulik attacks, look at the top card of your library. If it's a basic land, if it's a land card, you may put it on the battlefield tapped. If you didn't put a card onto the battlefield this way, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token. That seems pretty gruel.
Yeah, cool Gruul Goblin Commander.
Yeah, it's just good.
I don't know if Rulik is Pashalik Mons' father, son.
I'm gonna go with like second uncle.
Yeah, I like second uncle.
It could legit like maybe Rulik killed Pashlik's Mons and just took his name. Maybe that's how
maybe
Goblin
it's just a
hierarchy
title.
works.
Shout out to Mink from our Discord. He
Let us know how goblins
probably
work.
knows who Rulik Mons is and is mad that we don't.
Yeah.
Suck it.
We refuse to learn.
So mean to our patrons. Next up, Shana, Purifying Blade. Bant color identity for green, white, blue for a human warrior 3/3 with lifelink, and at the beginning of your end step, you may pay X. If you do, draw X cards. X can't be greater than the amount of life you gained this turn.
I like it.
Yeah.
It does a pretty Bant thing.
Yeah. I guess my biggest problem with this is I'm not sure what the deck that I want to helm this in, but I see it in a lot of Bant decks.
I feel like this is for somebody who wants to be doing Tymna things, but doesn't want to be playing Tymna.
Yeah.
Doesn't want the stigma or whatever of playing a Tymna deck.
Sure.
This is a Tymna-esque effect
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
without like drawing all of the heat from playing a Tymna deck.
Yeah, and it doesn't have sort of the connotations that Tymna decks also have with looping through and continuing to have like black access to black mana and things like that. Next up, let's talk about Solkanar, the Tainted. 2 blue, black, red for an elemental demon. At the beginning of your end step, choose one that has not been chosen. Draw a card. Each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. Solkanar deals 3 damage to up to 1 other target creature or planeswalker. Exile Solkanar, then return it to the battlefield under an opponent's control for a 5/5.
It's a weird little chaosy kind of dude, but I think not very good.
I'm gonna walk back something I said earlier in the video. I'm not excited for this Grixis commander. I'm excited for most of them. This one is if the blink on the last one put it back into play under your control.
Oh, insane.
I'm in for it.
Yeah, crazy.
But putting it around the table.
you could just play Homeward Path.
I was about to actually say that but without the voice. Any case, let's talk about. Thank you, I appreciate that. You can tell how I sound like that.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, Soul of Windgrace for 1 black, red, green cat avatar 5/4. Whenever Soul of Windgrace enters the battlefield or attacks, you may put a land card from a graveyard onto the battlefield tapped under your control. From a graveyard. From a graveyard.
From
oh,
A.
wow. I didn't read that the first time. Green, discard a land card, gain 3 life. 1 in a red, discard a land card, draw a card. 2 in a black, discard a land card, Soul of Windgrace, gains indestructible until end of turn, and tap it. Or as us old school kids would call it, regenerate. At least pretty close.
It's pretty close.
But this gets around Wrath of God, Alex.
I actually hate both of you.
I know, right?
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I don't know.
interesting.
This is
Lands things.
This is definitely Jundunum, but I don't know if it's
Sure.
out, you know.
It's yeah.
A graveyard.
Yeah,
A graveyard's cool.
A graveyard's pretty cool.
It's maybe cool.
Oh yeah, we're doing this in Wasteland Tribal.
You're just wasting them and stripping them and stealing their lands.
Yep.
But you can't even. Well, I guess you didn't have other ways to loop the wasteland.
Yeah, you
but
just
you have to find a way to get them out of your graveyard.
Yeah, sure.
Oh,
Red
I
and
mean,
6. There you
We'll
go.
figure it
You
out.
just got to play,
We'll just play all the really awful
all of the land things.
Yeah.
But then you're also
Any case, let's talk about Sten, Paranoid Partisan. White, blue for a human wizard 2/2. As Sten enters the battlefield, choose a card type other than creature or land. Spells you cast of the chosen type cost 1 less to cast. 1 white, blue. Exile him. Return it to the battlefield under owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. Resettable discount.
yeah, this
I think
card's
it's pretty
great.
sweet. Yeah.
Yeah. I think this maybe not a lot of play, but I think this is. I mean, obviously, you just name instants or sorceries, and then it's a resettable Goblin Electromancer, right?
That seems pretty good.
Yeah.
Not hating it. Let's talk about Tatiova, the Steward of Tides.
I hate this fish lady.
green, blue for a Merfolk Druid with a 3/3. Land creatures you control have flying. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, if you control 7 or more lands, up to 1 target land you control becomes 3/3 elemental creature with haste. It's still land, and that does not wear off in a turn.
Oh.
This card sucks.
You don't like it?
No.
You don't want to scape shift into 21 power worth of flying lands?
No.
Okay, me neither.
Me neither.
It's fine. I'm glad it's uncommon because I feel like this is probably something that's interesting, at least in Artisan. I think having to be your 7th or more land is kind of
That's a
slow.
big one.
Yeah.
Even in Simic, I think that's slow.
Yeah.
Next up, let's talk about Tori d'Avenant, Fury Rider. 1 red, white for a human knight, 3/3 vigilance and trample. Whenever it attacks, all other attacking creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Other red attacking creatures you control gain trample. Other white attacking creatures you control are untapped. I kind of like this a lot. It's very, I'm attacking with actual creatures. I'm using them for their ETBs rather than the, vigilance or trample they've got on them. And I think I'm running a ton of multicolor cards in this.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, good call.
Yeah. This effect is reminiscent of Argus Costs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
So
Boros is as Boros does.
Boros is Besteros. Let's talk about Tura Kennerud, Sky Knight. 2 white, blue for a human knight, 3/3 flying. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a 1/1 white soldier token.
Love it.
should have been a bird, but it's fine.
Yeah, I probably should have made either humans, knights, or birds, not soldiers, but
Yeah.
But what can you do?
Well, what we can do is we can talk about Urg, Spawn of Turg. Black, green for a frog beast. Urg's power is equal to the number of land cards in your graveyard. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. You may put that card into your graveyard. Black, green, sacrifice a land. You gain 2 life on an X5 body.
It's just the new Gitrog.
Yeah.
it's not.
I think this actually plays really well with that Soul of Windgrace deck we were talking about.
Oh, true.
Yeah. Don't hate that. Also
Don't
an
hate
uncommon
that.
card.
Yeah.
Next up, it's Vohar, Vodalian Desecrator, blue-black, for a Phyrexian Merfolk Wizard. Tap, draw a card, then discard a card. If you discarded an instant or sorcery card this way, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. 2, sacrifice Vodar, Vodalian Desecrator. You may cast target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard this turn. If that spell would be put into your graveyard, exile it instead. Activate only as a sorcery on a 2/1 body. Wow.
1/2 body.
1/2 body, sorry.
This one's very weird.
Yeah.
It's very costly to
Yes.
be able to cast a card from your graveyard, and then you have to then recast this if it is in theory your commander. And I don't know it other than this just being a looter, I guess. Maybe this is literally just blue-black.
I mean, it does
Draw.
it does give you value for pitching instants and sorceries.
Sure.
I guess, yeah.
So, yeah. Zar Ojanin, Scion of Efra. Efrava. Scion of Efrava. Wow, that's hard. 3 green, white for a cat warrior 4/4 with domain. Whenever it becomes tapped, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control with toughness less than the number of basic land types among lands you control. So you could foreseeably get some big creatures going.
Yeah, this one's weird because, like we've been saying about all of the other Simic legendaries, this is not Simic, Selesnya legendaries. This is very Selesnya.
Yeah.
But I don't want it as my commander or even in just a Selesnya deck because then you're only putting +1/+1 counters on 1/1s.
Yeah. Not
It also, interesting, it says when it becomes tapped, not attacked.
Right,
Just
doesn't
when
have
it
to
becomes
attack.
tapped.
So you can also do it on things like Convoke.
Yeah. Convoke or like Springleaf Drum.
This one's for Elliot. Zur, Eternal Schemer. White, blue, black for a human wizard, 1/4 flying. Enchantment creatures you control have Death Touch, Lifelink, and Hexproof. 1 and a white. Target non-aura enchantment you control becomes a creature in addition to its other types and has base power and toughness each equal to its mana value.
I'm not excited.
Really?
Yeah. Unsurprisingly, this is much weaker than the previous iteration of Zur.
I mean, one of the most powerful single creatures they ever printed?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Crazy how that happens.
This is like a cute thing. I don't exactly know. There's probably some whatever I'm trying to think of, like sequence or combination of enchantments that you can make creatures to like do something funny with this.
I think this plays really well in a Starfield of Nyx-based deck.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know what I want it to do.
Yeah, like Esper Enchantress things,
Yeah.
I guess, maybe.
Yeah. Anyway, we've got a few legendary artifacts we want to get through here. The Golden Argosy, it's a 4 mana 3/6 vehicle with crew 1 that says whenever it attacks, exile each creature that crewed it this turn, return them to the battlefield tapped under their owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. Oh, look, we can flicker our dockside.
Great.
Crew 1.
Yay. We could already flicker our dockside with the limo that we got.
Now we can do it with this too.
Yay.
Whoa.
It's a boat.
Huzzah. Karn Silex, 3 mana for a legendary artifact. It enters the battlefield tap. Players can't pay life to cast spells or to activate abilities that aren't mana abilities. Would you like to turn off Bolus's Citadel?
Fetch lands.
Ooh.
Birthing pod.
Ooh. Got him. Let's tap it and pay X to exile it. Destroy each non-land permanent with mana value X or less. Activate only as a sorcery.
I think
It
this
does
card's
hit tokens.
interesting.
It's less. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
You do it for 1 and it's,
Gets tokens, yeah.
So
It's
the fact that it is engineered explosives
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
pernicious deed or whatever with the upside of being this weird players can't pay life
like a
stacks
Sigarda.
piece, right? It's like potentially really interesting.
I think it's got utility. I think I'm more on it for the stacks piece side than I am for the blow stuff upside,
Yeah.
especially since you have to pay for the X. But yeah, it's fine. Timeless Lotus, 5 mana for a enters the battlefield tapped mana rock. So it's already bad.
Yeah, of course.
Why we even talk about
Yeah,
it. But
unplayable.
actually, why folks are interested in it is it doesn't say add 1 mana of each color. It says add white, blue, black, red, green, which means that it has a colored identity of...
Wooburg.
That's right. So it has to go in a 5-color deck.
disaster.
I don't know about disaster, but it's just very...
I think that's good.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's just odd. But speaking of incredibly odd, let's talk about Weatherlight Completed. 2 for a 5/5 legendary artifact vehicle with flying. And its crew cost is... It has no crew cost. I know.
Yeah.
Dun dun dun.
You play that Boros Legendary and it crews for 1.
That
Or
does
the
work.
pilot from Kamigawa.
Yeah, that also works. But anyway, as long as Weatherlight Completed has 4 or more Phyresis counters on it, it's a Phyrexian creature in addition to its other types. Whenever a creature you control dies, put a Phyresis counter on Weatherlight Completed. Then draw a card if it has 7 or more Phyresis counters on it. If it doesn't, scry 1.
Hey, guess what this does? If you have a sack outlet and a way to get infinite dice triggers, it draws your whole deck.
Yay! That's pretty good.
It's actually not irrelevant. For 2 colorless mana is actually potentially really interesting for that effect.
Yeah.
Maybe opens up something in some color combination that didn't have had the infinite dies but didn't have an outlet somehow.
I don't know how you got that, but
yeah.
maybe I could see what you're saying.
But it's cool.
I also like that it's just a 5/5 flyer at the end.
Yeah.
So, anyway, folks, I think that's the end of all the legendaries from this set. I hope you had a good time. Elliot, what was your favorite card?
My favorite's the Shieldred. I'm really excited for that.
Yeah.
With like I said, with the Lich's Mastery, I'm slamming that in that deck, and then I'm not looking back.
That's fair. Jan, what was your favorite card?
I like Jorah. Jorah is pretty sweet. Jorah. Or the running Ifrit.
The running Ifrit.
What did I say? Non-distinct flash.
Legally
distinct flash.
Legally distinct flash.
How about you, Alex?
I think my favorite card is probably the King Darien the 48th. I think that he is a much more focused and beginner-friendly commander than we've seen in some time. That doesn't lack power. Having him come out with an Anthem at 3 mana in those colors really, in my opinion, is a great place to start a new player into the game who's going to be brewing their first, personal deck that isn't working off of a pre-con list. So if you're trying to get somebody into the game, that's the kind of person I would start with.
Yeah. For sure.
So aside from that, though, folks, if you think we said something wrong, we missed an opinion, or you just want to yell at us, get in the comments below. We probably will read it.
Mm-hmm.
If you lasted this long, also shout out to you because that's awesome.
Thanks for
watching the whole thing.
If you haven't already, comment, like, and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.
Hey, thank you for checking out the Spike Feeders on YouTube. If you're not subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button before you close the window. Or you can click on this link to check out our other great videos.